morning, everyone. Thank you for coming into our workshop today. My name is Marguerite. I'm the Labor Development Specialist for WisDOT, and I oversee the HCST program, and my main goal is to strengthen our workforce in Wisconsin.
I'm Deborah Seip. I'm a Labor Development Specialist with WisDOT, and my role as a Labor Development Specialist right now is in May of 2024, the federal government offered a grant out to all the DOTs in the United States and educational facilities. And Wisconsin applied for one, and we have recently heard at the end of December that we will be receiving this grant. The grant will be focused on our Northeast, Northwest, and tribal regions of Wisconsin, with focus on the I-41 and Walbec Bridge projects and strengthening our HCST program in order to help those projects out. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Marks and I'm the Director of Operations with Forward Service Corporation. We operate the Highway Construction Skills Training in the Northeast region and operate a class in Green Bay at NWTC, as well as the Southwest region, which includes Dane and Rock counties.
Hi everybody, Dan Eskstrom. I'm the Senior HR Business Partner for the Walbec Group of Companies. I think everybody's probably familiar with our areas of reach. We do heavy highway construction all over the region, but specifically, I've been working with the HCST program. I started teaching most trans then back in 2004. I started contributing to those classes and have been involved in this development ever since. So near and dear to my heart, as well as the folks here at Walbec too. So.
I'm not going to use the microphone. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Yeah. I'm kind of loud. I figured you guys could. So just to give a brief overview, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, a little bit of information on what we do. So to begin with, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation is dedicated to serving the community, including those businesses contracting with the state agencies and recipients of DOT funds. And then we also work in conjunction with the DBE to focus on providing opportunities for minorities, women, and underserved individuals. WisDOT's on-the-job training program is HCST. It was originally established in 1995, and we have since gone through some refunding, rebranding, and changed the name of the program to the Highway Construction Skills Training, HCST. It's an industry-driven plan of service to address the outreach, preparation, and placement retention of women, minorities, and disadvantaged individuals as laborers or apprentices in the heavy highway skilled trades. Candidate preparation, contractor coordination services, and OJT support services are provided by contracted community service organizations such as Forward Service. This is just a little bit of our data information over the last year from our training program. There were 232 individuals trained. 140 of those 232 individuals graduated, and 132 individuals were placed in the industry. So of the 132 individuals, that does not necessarily mean all of those individuals graduated within the year of 2024, but they were placed within the industry in 2024.
So as I mentioned, Forward Service Corporation does operate 2 HCST programs in this state. But if you go to WisDOT's website, they have a map where you can find a provider in a certain area, and we'll provide contact information for all HCST providers. These are the requirements of the training. In order to graduate the program, you have to complete OSHA, flagging, CPR, first aid, certifications, as well as we include construction math and measuring, tool identification, construction terminology. Apprenticeship testing is a requirement of graduation as well, and then written CDL prep. For Forward Service Corporation, we do encourage that CDL prep, but we also try and expand it because we've got those strong relationships with contractors, and they're telling us that that CDL is so important. So we do partner whenever possible to provide the full CDL. So we use the programs that are in the Northeast region is Career Accelerate. They offer a free CDL training right now. So a lot of our grads complete that after they complete the 160 hours. And then we depend on WIOA programs as well to just strengthen the program and provide additional certifications. I think as you know, we talk about those certifications, the most important for, I believe, our graduates is the professional development. It's really important to us that we are graduating programs that are prepared for the industry and willing and able to learn, really focusing on that time management and financial literacy pieces as well. So maybe we can have our HCST graduates that are here stand up, and you will meet them during the networking event, but we do have a good handful in the room today, as well as the business. So I think that they will show you a true representation of what you're getting from the HCST program as you're interviewing them. I'm a strong believer that these are qualified candidates. The HCST program, the benefit of that ASP-1 is that if you've got two candidates that are similar in qualifications, we hope that it's enough to kind of give the leverage to give our graduates the opportunity to show you the skills that they bring and their willingness and eagerness to learn.
So just a little bit about how WisDOT utilizes the federal funds that we receive. We have our two programs, our on-the-job training, our HCST training program, Certified Pre-Apprenticeship. It's certified through the Department of Workforce Development, as well as our ASP-1 reimbursements, which is our reimbursement program for contractors that utilize HCST graduates on their projects.
Well, I want to actually back up a little bit because I think it's important. So how WisDOT uses federal funds, all federally funded projects come with OJT funds, and that's how these programs are funded. And we work with surrounding states. Walbec is active in basically all the neighboring states to some extent. And I think Wisconsin does a particularly good job of handling these funds. You know, the idea is OJT, it's meant to develop folks from underserved populations. And over the years, I've noticed that this program gets better and better and better. Graduates are more prepared than they've been before, and it's because the OJT funds are being utilized correctly. And so the additional funds, you know, for tribal development, stuff like that, that actually enhances what's going to be put out into the workforce. And so listening to the economists this morning, this is one of those macro solutions, I think, we're talking about. We're preparing people in a way that other places aren't. And so, you know, that's good for Wisconsin, right? And so, okay, so now I have to do my actual.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't understand is some of those funds are earmarked for incentive for contractors. So like Jennifer mentioned, we want to, you know, the idea is to put graduates out there that are prepared and that are, you know, ready to enter the workforce. That's step one. But the other thing that contractors can rely on, another incentive that they can utilize, are funds that can come back to the contractor on federally funded projects in the amount of a reimbursement. So that's what ASP-1 is in a nutshell. The rate of $5 an hour on federal aid projects for the first 2,000 hours or 2 years, whichever comes first. And so if you do hire an HCST graduate on federally funded projects, if you do the things that you're supposed to in the CRCS system, talk about that a little bit, that you'll actually get refunded or paid back $5 an hour up to that 2,000 hour mark or 2 years. So that's significant money, right? And when you think about that in terms of one graduate or 5 graduates, you know, there's an exponential gain there. Additionally, it's meant to help contractors continue to develop graduates as they become employees. So if they advance into an apprenticeship, there's additional funds that you can be reimbursed for that training as well. So the idea is hire a person and train them, get them into a trade, you know, train them up, and these funds will actually help offset the cost of that and you know, give you a workforce that's more prepared at the same time. So same thing. applies at a rate of $5 an hour on federal aid projects for the length of time that the graduate is in an apprenticeship status. So if those things are concurrent, like so for instance, Northeast Asphalt, one of our companies, they start out, our new hires start out as operator trainees. So there's an opportunity for fund development there, and then when they enter into an operations apprenticeship later on in their career, then there's an additional point where we can go back and seek these funds. So it's a good deal, and I think it's one of those things that I think people, it's built into the contracts, people kind of know it exists, but I don't know that it's utilized enough, and that's one of the things that I think the reason we're talking about this today is there's an additional incentive here to hire people and then get them trained.
And I would just do a quick plug that all HCST graduates have passed an apprenticeship exam. So we are using the laborers or the carpenters exam, so they are registered on that list.
Yeah, that's actually really helpful, because then it's an easier transition for them into an apprenticeship.
So what happens when we begin the process of handling ASP-1? So HCST graduates that have been hired by contractors, it starts off with them being listed in the contractor system as an HCST graduate. But the role of the compliance specialist from WisDOT's end is to, once the projects are substantially complete, they review the project, they review the substantially complete report, they run a report in CRCS, which is our database system that we are currently using. They run this report that reflects the amount of hours every graduate has worked on that project, the amount of hours and the amount of reimbursement payment. They print out that report. They also complete a letter of payment authorization for the contractors, and then they send that letter over to the project engineer, as well as CCing in the contracting companies, so that they know exactly how much of a reimbursement they'll be receiving, and that begins the process of the reimbursement payout. Then next it goes on to our contractors process for ASP reimbursement. So the contractors would receive the graduation certificate from a graduate and make sure they're entered into HCS or into CRCS as an HCST graduate through their employee card. And then they would also make sure that they have the apprentice category checked in their system as well.
On the contractor side, in CRCS, there is a area that you would identify in the employee tab, your employee record in CRCS, that person is it might still say trans, but we're not going to update it because we are moving to a new system starting with the January LETS CRL. So there is an area that you would identify a HCST graduate that when you hire them, you would identify them as a graduate, and then that is what triggers the report then, and it catches the hours then that graduate works, and that's, and again, when the project is substantially complete, the compliance specialist would run that report and forward it to project staff, and then they would pay it out on an estimate. And then that's how the prime gets reimbursement, and then if any subs have used a trans graduate, the prime would then pay those subs for the reimbursement.
Does it work that same way with apprentices too?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so is
for
there two
apprentices
different
too.
drop-downs, two different selections?
Yep, so the person, they would be identified as a HCST graduate, and then there's also another button for apprentice. So, so the payout is for graduate for up to 2,000 hours, and then if they move into an apprentice program, then it's for the duration of the apprenticeship. So there are two identifiers in the CRCS system that indicates an HCST graduate and then also an apprentice.
Keep your payroll lists up to date, and so some of this might be a manual process on the employer's side to track hours and where they're going, what federal project system, make sure that they're being reported correctly. And there are apparently reports in CRCS and presumably in the new system that will allow you to view those things in real time and see where your hours are. So just those are a couple of things that our staff at our company told us to remember. And then additionally, federal aid projects only. So It won't be for every single hour that they work, but it will be for projects, and so you have to kind of pay attention to that too. I was thinking back, so it's been a long time since I've been involved with these programs, and so we go and sit through these sessions, and they talk about all the work that's coming up. They're talking about the 41 expansion work that they're doing. Originally, but a long time ago, people in this room remember when there was the US 41 mega project in Appleton, Green Bay area. And that's when Forward Services started doing really, that's when the trans work, the HCST classes really started to take hold in Green Bay area. And I was on a labor committee with Renard Morris, who just won an award for that kind of training. Teresa was in that. I mean, and the idea was, hey, we got this huge project coming up. We're going to have to find all the people for it. And working with Forward Services, working with Renard, we came up with training programs that actually qualify people. People like Dan Webster who worked on that project. People all over the place that are now in different positions because they got a start in this program. And we're in a similar position now in all over the state, Blatnick and the 41 expansion again, and 94, all these different areas where, again, we're going to need people. This is it's proven to work in the areas where people actually utilize it. So as a contractor, I would say pay attention, try as hard as you can to get a relationship with your local HCST trainer and feed back to them. When graduates come to interview, hey, was that a good interview? Are they prepared? Are they not? And continue to create that good product, because it's it's an advantage for you as a contractor, because those people literally have an edge over an unskilled worker. They have developed skills. They've developed certifications, CDL training, OSHA skills, stuff like that. Things that you no longer have to worry about. And additionally, like we've been talking about, you get paid back. So I think this is a great opportunity to expand. Not only can we literally expand it with the funds that Wisconsin's been given, but we can expand the effectiveness of this by contractors actually contributing back to it. So.
Communication and collaboration are really key. There are multiple opportunities to get involved in HCST classes throughout the state, to come and speak, to come and share insight from the industry, as well as attend networking events that are happening here, as well as at local provider locations. We really depend on that, but as Dan said, letting us know, if you need a certain skill, or if there would be an advantage for a graduate to have some sort of a certification that's not currently on the required list. We are always open to any sort of enhancements. I also agree, over the last 10 years, I've seen a lot of enhancements through the program of, required certifications, partnerships with both contractors as well as training providers, that we're no longer doing, OSHA online, we're doing in-person OSHA, and there's different kind of things that we can offer as a HCST provider. We just need that contractor feedback to make those things happen.
And I would just feed off of what Jennifer and Dan said as well. Reach out to us with WisDOT. Reach out to myself, reach out to Deb. We can easily direct you to any of our 4 HCST providers. We do have HCST trainings in southeastern Wisconsin, so we have Milwaukee and Racine with WRTP Big Step. We have Madison and Green Bay with Forward Service, as Jennifer had said, and then we also have HCST trainings in 2 of our tribal regions. So that's in the north central with Saucon, and in the northwestern side of things with Lac-Courte. So we have training throughout the state of Wisconsin, and we're trying to expand. Our trainers do, especially in the northern regions where everything is separated, and we do have trainers that are willing to branch out their area a little bit more. I do know that Noel reaches with Saucon. He reaches to a lot of different areas to try to pull graduates, help transport them if he can, things of that nature. So we're willing to work with contractors, we're willing to work with graduates, we're just trying to pull the two together. And I'd also add in that for contracting companies or graduates, we do keep copies of the certificates. So if a contractor ever needs to reach out for that proof, they're not able to obtain it, right away from their graduate, they can reach out to us as well. We're trying to just make sure that the tie is strengthened all the way. Any questions? I would just add in again for contractors, there's an immense value in our ASP-1 project, or in our ASP-1 program. The reimbursements are not only to help fund the projects or fund the contractors' payback for the projects, but also to help them meet their federal requirements. There are requirements on all projects. Within those projects documents, there are requirements to have HCST graduates. It has not been heightened so far, but this is what we're looking to strengthen. We want to make sure that everyone knows that this opportunity is available.
My last point would just be a plug that HCST providers also provide retention services. So our work is not done once you hire a graduate. If you're running into any challenges or roadblocks, or if there's a certain certification that a graduate needs to pay for, or we've done sometimes hotel stays if they're traveling. So the graduate will reach out to us, or the contractors as well, if there's any sort of needs that you have that we can help address.
And I think, you know, as a contractor throughout this process, I really think that there was a time when this was just a program, right? It was just a thing, and everybody knew that trans existed, but honestly, the product wasn't that good. You know, no offense to the DOT 20 years ago, but the product wasn't that good. That's changed, and so, but how contractors view the product, that's where we're at right now. I think contractors need to take another look at what trans graduates bring now, because I think it's really is a night and day difference from what it was before, just a program. Now it's their people's lives are changing with this stuff, and they're coming out with not just an interest in your work, but an ability to make your workforce better, and potentially, you know, they're interested in being business owners. So I mean that kind of thing, that's huge. So if you haven't, if you ignore, not ignore, but if you haven't paid attention to ASP-1 and, you know, HCST skills graduates before, take a look at it, sit at one of these tables, talk to some people,